This is a project that I am really excited about. This is not the photo of the project that it's complete, but this is my inspiration. This is what I want my pizza oven to look like. You see that there's a fireplace, there's a pizza oven on the right. Let me switch over to this photo. You can see the wood burning in the pizza oven there. So I want to show you the different stages that I've gone through. So this is a video that I found that I got a lot of my inspiration from. So that's the first part that I'm going to build, is kind of this pizza oven part. But again, I want to build it into a structure like this with the fireplace next to it. And also, this has one chimney above the fireplace. This one's going to have two different chimneys, one for the fireplace, one for the pizza oven. All right, so as you can see, I've got a lot of supplies. So I'll explain each of these as I move along, but I knew I needed some concrete. I needed some bags of perlite. Now, perlite is a material that's, I guess it's really insulative. It's a type of volcanic glass or something that when it's heated up, it's expanded and becomes really insulative. So I bought some wood, some 2x4s, some insulated ductwork, even a big huge thing of chicken wire there. And then I also bought some cement form tubes that I'm just storing in my garage for the moment until I'm ready. But I'm gonna build my pizza oven fireplace on a strong foundation. Now this is the gazebo that I am going to build my fireplace and pizza oven next to. So right over there where you see some rocks on the other side of the cement, that's where this is going. But this shed is now going to become my workspace. So obviously I started out just by carrying over all my supplies and putting them in my makeshift shed. So the first thing I had to do is kind of figure out measurements and figure out where I wanted the center of the dome to be. Now this part is fun. In some of the videos that I watched on YouTube, they used an exercise ball as the form for the shape of the dome. Well, I wanted to make mine extra big, so I actually found this green exercise ball, but it's actually a horse play toy. It's so big that it's not even meant for humans, it's meant for horses. Because it has such a huge volume, I think it's over 40 inches in diameter. It took quite a while to inflate. So the instructions told me to use a yardstick or measuring stick to make sure that it's at the intended height. So that's how high I want it, so we've got a little bit more air to put in there. Alright, I got it to the height that I wanted. Okay, so the plan for this board is I'm going to cut a hole in it that the ball can sit inside. The diameter of the circle that I cut out needs to be smaller than the largest diameter of the ball so it doesn't fall all the way through, but I wanted it to be big enough so that the taper of the ball isn't too significant at the area where it touches the board. And I also want to center it, so I'm doing a whole bunch of measurements here just to get that right. Now I actually needed to make my platform a little bit wider, so I cut off some of the board at the end and attached it to the side. I also just screwed it to these 2x4s to really make it a rigid, solid frame. Okay, so where I hammered that nail is the center, and now I'm tying a string, trying to get it the right length so that I could draw a circle around my center point. Can't see that very well, but I'm drawing a circle with the Sharpie. There you go. So this tool is a brand new one for me. Hadn't used this before. Made sure I had the right blade on there to do this job. I just have to say, when I first started cutting with it, the blade was moving so slow, and I'm like, this isn't working. What's going on here? But I found out that there's like a throttle control, and it was turned all the way down, so I could turn it up, and now it worked great. Now I was really nervous that I cut out too big of a hole, but it ended up being just right. And I'm just cutting off the excess of the platform that I didn't need. But I needed to sand down the edges. I didn't want any of those slivers to poke holes in the ball. So that piece is the plug. So after filling it up with air, I plugged it. I wanted that plug to be on the bottom so that when I was done, I could unplug it and remove the ball. So now I wanted to make the entrance to the pizza oven a little archway. So I'm cutting out the wood and making a little structure for that. Alright, so you'll notice I made two different layers on one side. That's because when I put the cement and perlite mixture, I actually want to create a lip on the inside so that I can have a door sit up against it and not have it pushed into the interior. I've never done this before, but I'm hoping that this is a good idea. I just cut out a whole bunch of equal length pieces that I could, create the structure. Okay, so you can see I actually had to cut out 3 different pieces, 2 that go on the inside where that first lip is going to go, and 1 on the outside. Now, this is just the form. I needed to create kind of a shell around it, and so what I ended up doing is using these for sale signs, just pieces of plastic to cover it. And my hope is that it would be slippery and the cement perlite mixture would come off of it really easily. This was actually a pin nailer that didn't work perfectly because the heads were a bit thin, but if I put enough in it seemed to hold, it seemed to work. Now you can see that's where the lip is going to be. So the part of the archway closest to the dome will have 1 diameter of arch, and then it will go out about a 1/2 inch or 3/4 of an inch for the remainder of the doorway. So this was just a visual. I just set that exhaust vent piece on top just to show what it might look like. I'm pretty impressed with myself at this point, but the hard work is about to begin. Okay, so here's the next day, and I'm just experimenting. I'm trying to figure out ratio and what's the best mixture of concrete and perlite and water, and playing around with it, seeing if it works. The measurements was really, I'd say, the hardest part because I wanted to do large volume, and you can see I enlisted the help of my family there for some of the tasks. But I wanted to mix this in large quantity and do it in a 1-to-4 ratio. It was just difficult for me because I wanted to just pour a whole bag of stuff in there and know how much to do it. So I ended up just trial and error and a lot of stirring. It's probably 15 minutes and whatnot, and then I thought, oh, this is too runny, let me add more concrete. But eventually I got it to a point where I thought, all right, this seems to work, it seems to pack. This has a high ratio of perlite in it, and so it's going to be really insulative. Later layers, I did do a little bit higher concentration of the concrete mix compared to the perlite, which did seem to stick a little bit better. It was pretty hard to to work this stuff, especially on the edges, as you can see. That plastic piece at the top is just where the chimney's going to come out. So I guess the shape of this dome, the air circulates around, but it kind of has to go down a little bit first before it exits out that chimney. So this is my first coat, and it's rough, it's really bumpy, but you know, it gave it a few days to dry, and then I decided, all right, let's put on some chicken wire. So you can see that's way more chicken wire than I needed, but that was just the lowest quantity that Home Depot sold. Got some tie wire to be able to connect it together, and just kind of made it up as I went, trying to keep that layer of chicken wire as close as I could. And I found that I could actually anchor points of the chicken wire to the dome just by screwing it in, and it seemed to hold pretty well. So once I finished the chicken wire, I then put together another mixture, and you can see that this mixture looks a little bit different. It's a higher concentration of cement, but there's still a good amount of perlite in there. I wouldn't know the ratio to tell you. I mean, if my ratio before was 1:4, then this might be 1:2, but I might have done the ratio wrong earlier and had it be 1:6, and this might be 1:3 or 4. I really don't know. And then over time, as it dried out, I had to add more water to make it usable. So, but you can see that the finished product of this second coat looks a lot more smooth. My family was asking me how much this thing weighed, and I kind of made a guesstimate just based on the amount of concrete I used, knowing that I added water and perlite, and probably around a few hundred pounds. I don't remember the calculation I made then, but that sounds right. I'm hoping it's less. I'm hoping, you know, it's only a couple hundred pounds, but that it's rigid and that it's solid. I'm both excited and nervous. One, I also wanted to put down some saran wrap or something on the support board beneath, but I kind of forgot that step until it's too late. I had some help digging this hole, so I'm going to put in a cement pad that this fireplace and pizza oven is going to go on top, but I wanted the foundation to go deep. And I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm not a structural engineer, but I thought if we had 8 columns, 12-inch diameter, going 4 feet deep below the pad, that ought to do something. So I don't know if this is structurally the best way of doing it, but I got help from my son. We just kind of spaced these out evenly, kind of supported them with rocks in the bottom, and then and we had a lot of fun doing this, as you can see. And then I would just have him hold it in place while I shoveled around it. We wanted to prevent any dirt from getting inside. But that pile of dirt you can see behind me, it's quite a lot of dirt. This is a 4-foot deep hole, and I really just shoveled and did the backfill around these tubes 100% by shovel. You can see there we just again used rocks to kind of give it a little bit of structure around the bottom and filled it in with dirt, and then when we thought it was secure enough, wouldn't move, then we'd move on to the next one. And so we just kind of did that for all 8. My son had to leave to go to a ninja class, ninja warrior class, so I had to finish the last 2 on my own. You can see I'm wearing a coat there. Winter weather definitely arrived, and but doing all this shoveling was not a problem at all. You can see I worked late into the night. You can see I'm making progress. The hole's getting filled in. The top layer of the dirt was actually frozen, so I had to use a pickaxe to break it apart. But just kept working and working and working. But as you can see, so far I've been successful at refilling this hole with my cement form tubes in there without getting any dirt inside them. I was pretty happy with that. Didn't actually know how to do this, just kind of made it up as I went along. So I'm going to continue to work, and we'll come back in the next episode where we get this finished up, we get a cement pad laid, and then we're gonna proceed with building the rest of that fireplace and pizza oven.